From the UNC Hussman School of Journalism and Media, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Less than 3 weeks left of the semester and coronavirus remains a top concern on campus. Good afternoon, I'm Josh Connor.
And I'm Sierra Sanders. We'll bring you the latest on UNC's fight against COVID-19, but first, reaction to the verdict heard around the nation. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been found guilty in the death of George Floyd. The jury convicted Chauvin of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Floyd died last May after Chauvin placed his knee on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes. After the verdict, UNC tweeted, "Carolina stands in solidarity with our students, faculty, and staff working student body.
UNC has announced a second coronavirus cluster on campus, and the university is offering COVID-19 vaccinations once again. Reporter Maria Kay joins us live from the South Building with the latest on vaccines, testing, and cases on campus. Maria.
We just got notification that 5 cases of COVID-19 have been identified in Rams Village Building 3. And this is after 5 residents of Hinton James Residence Hall are currently in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 last week. But despite these cases, the positivity rate on campus is very low, less than 1%. And that's compared to an almost 14% positivity rate that we saw at the beginning of the school year last August. In order to prevent any future clusters, the university is hoping students will get vaccinated. Last week, the FDA and the CDC recommended a pause on clinics giving out the Johnson & Johnson shot after some people developed life-threatening blood clots. UNC closed its clinics for a few days, but they have since opened back up and are now distributing the Moderna vaccine. The administration says vaccines will not be mandatory, but they are hoping Carolina students and employees will get vaccinated as soon as possible. Coronavirus testing on campus will continue throughout the summer sessions, and it may even continue into the fall semester, but it is still too early to tell. One thing that we've been hearing from students is that they are concerned because many of them have already received their Johnson & Johnson vaccine from the student vaccination clinic. The executive director of campus health, Ken Pittman, wants students to know that complications from the vaccine are extremely rare. But if any symptoms of concern happen to you, make sure to call campus health or another healthcare provider as soon as possible. Reporting live in Chapel Hill, I'm Maria Cade, Carolina Week.
COVID-19 has also taken its toll on businesses around campus, but one popular store says things are finally starting to look up. The UNC Student Stores took a large hit financially last March when they had to close down and were unable to reopen until July. With no lines at popular spots like the coffee shop and the pit stop, as many students attended class virtually in the fall, the student stores had to adjust their plan. Now, as a number of classes switch to in-person this semester and students are around campus more, the student stores are making sure students can shop their favorite deals safely this spring. General Manager Michelle Gretsch Carter says it's refreshing feeling to see students in the stores once again.
Just the liveliness and the physical feeling of momentum in the store, that exactly from the very beginning, this store has never just been a transaction. It's always been a destination, and we want to make it a social hub.
Carter says the store is offering larger deals than usual and invites students to come check out the new products they have to offer.
For many students who graduated last May, their first job experience has been completely remote. I spoke with one graduate who has yet to set foot in her office at all.
When Cece Huffman envisioned her post-graduation plans, she saw herself working inside of radio and podcasting studios. But fast forward to now, and due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the studio dream has shifted instead to her studio apartment.
If I told myself that a couple years ago, I would probably be like, what? But okay, like I guess that sounds kind of fun, you know? At least you can start work in your pajamas sometimes. Like that might be kind of nice.
And for the past 9 months, Cece Huffman has made this commute from her bed right here over to her kitchen table, which doubles over as a work desk. And that's all she's known since she graduated last May.
There's really no way to get around it. I try and move around to different spots in the same room to try and keep myself sane, but it is like it's really hard to stay motivated all the time and to like transition from work mode to relaxation mode.
Despite serving as the associate producer and content strategist for Earfluence Media, Huffman says the remote work experience has left her with a feeling of deja vu.
It's definitely a challenge because sometimes you feel like you haven't even graduated because like I ended the school year doing podcast and audio work in my bedroom, and then I started my adult career doing podcast and audio work in my bedroom.
Co-founder and CEO Jason Gillikin says that despite the less than ideal working circumstances, Huffman has never failed to meet expectations. And he says one of the biggest lessons he's learned during the remote working experience is how important mental health is, especially for many recent graduates.
You know, I've been very mindful of saying, you know what, I think you need like a mental health day, you know, just because the walls are just so constricting, right? It can be tough and it can be a challenge mentally. And she's really grown through that as well.
As Earfluence closes in on their target date to get back into the studio safely, Huffman says she's already counting down the days to finally go to work.
I'm so excited for the day where I'm like, okay, it's time to go to work, not like walk 10 feet from my bed and sit at the same flipping chair again, but like actually get up and get dressed and go to work. Like I words cannot describe how excited I am for when that finally happens.
Huffman said she expects to finally be back in the studio in July.
There are some big repairs that need to be made on campus. UNC's maintenance backlog has grown over $900,000 in repair costs, with more than 50 buildings listed in severe condition. Carolina Week reporter Julian Berger is live at Phillips Hall with the latest on this problem. Julian?
Yeah, I'm currently at Phillips Hall, one of many on-campus buildings in severe condition. Back in 2019, a water main break here knocked out all power and left the basement and the first floor flooded. 2 years later, students feel like many buildings on campus are still not in the best condition.
Within the past year, the UNC Department of Engineering Services published its Facilities Condition Index, showing academic buildings, residence halls, and other notable buildings on campus in poor or severe condition.
I would say that they're both in really good conditions and really bad conditions based on majors, if I'm being honest.
Carmen Chambly, a communications major, has experienced firsthand the poor conditions of academic buildings. In spring of 2020, her and her classmates were displaced out of their classroom for a week in Swain Hall due to mold issues.
So we were already in the class for like 2 months though, like in the mold and stuff like that. And like they made us like leave because I guess it got really bad and was starting to make a lot of people sick.
Chambly also experienced mold in her room in Ram Village Apartments that same semester.
I was also really sick during that time as well. I did not know that there was mold in my room. So when they finally got rid of it, I got like a little bit better, but like that mold was like taking me out.
The junior feels like certain buildings, such as the science labs and the business school, have better building conditions than the humanities buildings. Just in 2019, the university received close to $425 million in tuition and fees.
It makes me pretty upset that I can't decide like where my money goes. Like I would definitely obviously put it towards my major.
I reached out to UNC Facility Services for an update on maintenance across campus, but I still have not received a response. Reporting live at Phillips Hall in Chapel Hill, Julian Berger, Carolina Week.
After declaring a climate emergency, the town of Chapel Hill has approved a new climate action plan. The plan will work towards 80% clean, renewable energy by 2030 and 100% by 2050. A youth activism organization called Sunrise Movement Chapel Hill Carborough was heavily involved in updating and revising the Climate Action and Response Plan. The original plan was adopted last June, but was put on pause when COVID-19 hit the area.
I think the plan was a good start, but some of the biggest faults of it were that it didn't hold the town to very many deadlines, and the deadlines that were in there were far too late down the road, not treating like it was an emergency.
Chapel Hill is now calling on other North Carolina towns and cities to declare a climate emergency and begin taking action now.
Attention graduating seniors, if you go by a different name than the one on your birth certificate, you're now able to change the name on your diploma. Reporter Maggie Mayone has more.
The university registrar announced last week that students are now allowed to specify the name to be printed on their diploma from spring 2021 graduation forward. The university states they do not require students to display their legal name on their diploma, unlike transcripts. This new practice will allow students to choose how they prefer their name to appear on their diploma. UNC senior Dante Spado says this gave him the opportunity to add his middle name, something he wouldn't have gotten the chance to do before.
When I started going here a couple years ago, for some reason my name was just in as Dante Spado without the middle name, so I had to add my middle name.
Senior Archita Pavallari says she was happy to see the update.
People don't always identify with whatever is on their official records or something. So it was really nice to see that they were taking that into account.
The university encourages students to keep their legal name on their diploma if they plan to work or study outside the U.S. or attend professional schools. Students can update their name online in Connect Carolina. In Chapel Hill, Maggie Mayone, Carolina Week.
The university recently announced that it plans to operate in person next semester. This is exciting news, especially for rising seniors. Many UNC students say they feel that the pandemic robbed them of their college experience, and some graduating students were never able to make it into the physical classroom. But for rising seniors, the return to in-person classes will finish their time at Carolina the way they remember it starting, on campus, in the classrooms they love. Senior Carson Leviner says he's excited to connect with his classmates and professors next semester.
I'm really glad that I get to have some closure and I get to go into, face-to-face classes. So I can remember Carolina as traditional schooling rather than online schooling, because I didn't want to be left with the memories of Zoom classes, because that's just not reality.
University plans for in-person classes to begin on August 18th.
I'll be a senior next year, Josh, and I'm really excited to be back on campus, especially when the weather is nice like it is.
Exactly. Springtime is my favorite time to walk around campus too, and it looks like it's going to be nice weather, and it's not going away anytime soon. Joining us now is our meteorologist, Joseph Biacone.
Well, we've had a pretty dry start to our April here in Chapel Hill. We've only seen about 0.8 of an inch of rain for the month so far, and it's not looking like it's going to continue, especially today, as we see a relative humidity of only about 25%, which is really low. And with a relative humidity this low, we run the risk of seeing some wildfire activity today. So let's take a look at the map here. We've highlighted the risk area for you. Big cities here like Chapel Hill, Charlotte, Raleigh, Fayetteville, Greenville, and Wilmington are all under an elevated risk. That's a 1 out of 3 risk on our fire weather scale. And due to this, the National Weather Service has issued a fire weather watch for our area from 2 to 8 p.m. tonight. This is when conditions will be most favorable for the formation of wildfires. And one of these conditions here is the wind. The wind's coming out of the northwest here at 15 to 20 miles an hour. We could see gusts of up to 35 miles an hour. And with wind this strong and air this dry, it's a good set of ingredients there for some wildfire formation. So here's a few things we can do to prevent the start of these wildfires today. I know it's a nice day out. You're going to want to get out with the family. Just don't start a bonfire. Don't start anything with an open lit flame outside. That mixed with these winds, it's not going to turn out well. Don't do it. Never throw anything burning out of a car, like a cigarette or anything like that. I know it's self-explanatory, but wildfires have happened like that, so let's just not do that. Bag up your trash and lawn clippings, really anything that's flammable outside. Not a good mix with the dry weather. And make sure you just fill up your vehicle with gas and some supplies. Just in case anything were to happen, you can evacuate easily. Now, luckily this pattern isn't going to last into Thursday. The relative humidity is going to come back up, and the winds are going to die down. But our temperature is going to drop a little bit. The sun's going to stay out. Now, let's take a look at this low here for Thursday night, 36 degrees. It's a little chilly for this time of year. Luckily, our temperature will rise back up a little bit going into Friday. Saturday, the rain comes in finally. We'll probably get more rain on Saturday than we have all month so far. We got a 90% chance of rain. It's going to be a washout. Sunday, the system's going to move out, leave a few lingering clouds. We're going to get into the low 70s. And then Monday, sun comes back out. We're going to have a nice high temperature, 76 degrees.
Thanks, Joseph. The Carolina Asia Center is starting the celebration of Asian American Pacific Island Heritage Month a bit early this year. The center kicked off Asia Week on Monday with their asynchronous talent competitions. Throughout the week, they featured Southeast Asian workshops where you can learn Thai, Vietnamese, and newly added Tagalog. And on Friday, they'll host a panel discussion to discuss the past, present, and futures of Asian and Black Alliance.
It's a great way to kind of come together and think about ways where we can support each other. And there's a lot of notable activists who will be participating in the panel discussion.
The entire week of events is free. You can learn more at go.unc.edu/AsiaWeek21.
A popular UNC theater group is getting ready to premiere 2 shows this week. But as reporter Jacob Messer shows us, moving production from the stage to the screen has been a challenge.
The pandemic made it impossible for in-person performances to happen on campus, but student theater groups at UNC adapted. The UNC Pauper Players are producing 2 shows this semester, 35mm and The Mad Ones. The cast and crews of each production have been working hard to rehearse their plans for each performance, record and mix audio, and shoot and edit video inside of a month. The Mad Ones director Parker Jenkins says the process was difficult but worth it.
It's been stressful and it's been chaotic and it's I've lost a lot of sleep over it, but in the end, we're managing to accomplish something really awesome that I hope we all look back and we're all proud of.
The Mad Ones follows the story of Samantha Brown, an 18-year-old girl wrestling with her family's expectations for her and her own wants for her life. The story is told through a series of flashbacks as the audience slowly learns more about Samantha's story. 35mm, on the other hand, is not as story-driven as director Alex Baker says.
The great things about the show is that it doesn't have to be this big, blended, cohesive show like most story shows. This is very much each photo is unique.
35mm is a series of songs based on different photographs. Each song tells the story of a single picture. 35mm and The Mad Ones premiere this weekend. You can find more details on the UNC Pauper Players Facebook page. In Chapel Hill, Jacob Messer, Carolina Week.
Now to take us through what's going on in the wide world of Carolina sports is sports anchor Richard Atkins. Richard, what's new?
The baseball team returned home and hosted the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers in a midweek game Tuesday night. The Carolina starting pitcher continued to struggle as Max Albert gave up 3 solo home runs in only 1 1/3 innings. The Tar Heels would go on to lose 6-3. Despite this, Dallas Tezer would continue his hot streak as he hit a solo home run in the 4th to put UNC on the board. The Heels fall to 18-16 on the year.
It's just such a high character kid. And that's just Dallas. He's always accepted his role. He hadn't played a ton, so you knew he was going to be ready. It doesn't surprise any of us here.
Make it 4 for number 4. For the 4th time this season, Carolina's Chris Gray is the ACC Offensive Player of the Week in men's lacrosse. Gray has been pivotal for the Tar Heels, assisting on 6 and scoring 8 of the 21 goals Saturday to defeat Syracuse. Gray holds the most weekly awards of any ACC men's lacrosse athlete this season. Gray and the Heels will step out on the home turf Sunday to play Notre Dame. The men's tennis team starts its postseason play this weekend in Georgia. Alexa Graham takes us through what fans can expect from this Heels team.
Carolina men's tennis enters the ACC tournament as the number 3 seed. The 17-2 Tar Heels are led by senior captain Will Blumberg, who's confident they're ready to go.
But yeah, we've had a good season. We've had a couple losses, but I think we've learned a lot. yeah, I think we're ready to go into the postseason. We've played all these teams before, so we're looking forward to a good weekend.
The Heels will be playing teams for at least a second and possibly third time this season. Co-captain Brian Turnock explains the mindset going into those matches.
Especially playing a team that we have beaten before, I think it's really crucial that we don't take anything lightly. Obviously, since we've beaten them before, they're going to want to come at us with a full head of steam and try to get their revenge.
Blumberg says accomplishing the goal of winning this tournament will get them ready for NCAAs.
We're all preparing for May. This is one of our goals, so of course it matters, and of course we care, but the biggest one's in May. So it is, playing these tough team matches against these great opponents and day after day, just being able to be ready with your body and your fitness and your mind.
With the men and women's teams both competing in Rome this weekend, fans hope to have the Tar Heels bring home 2 championship trophies to start the postseason right. I'm Alexa Graham reporting.
That's all for sports. Be sure to tune in to Sports Xtra this Friday for a live preview of the football team's spring game. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Richard. Everyone has been trying to find creative ways to save money during the pandemic.
Yeah, and one of UNC students has decided to start trading with Chapel Hill students in hopes of trading his way to a car, starting with a simple ketchup packet. Reporter Mary Kate Aponitis has more.
When UNC freshman Trey Thorne thought about wanting a McLaren, he decided to take action and trade his way to a car with the help of Chapel Hill students.
So I was watching a YouTube video, and basically some guy had traded a paperclip up to a house. And I thought to myself, I can totally do that. And then looked around at what I had that was worthless and saw a ketchup packet from the dining hall. I had a gentleman on, I believe, the 7th floor of Hinton James give me a pencil for the ketchup packet. That's where that whole started off.
Thorne has been connecting to the Carolina community virtually as a way to reach out to students in Chapel Hill, even with limited interactions on campus this semester.
I've been active in a lot of the dorm, GroupMes, and apartment complexes locally. After every exchange I get, I would immediately send a message to all of them saying, here's where I'm at. Would anyone like to trade?
After 11 trades, Thorne is currently in possession of a piano and is currently evaluating his trade options before moving forward. And he's received offers from across the country after making a TikTok about his trades.
Got like 700,000 views after like 3 days. So I was offered a TV, a soundboard, 20,000 Magic the Gathering cards. I've also been offered a camper for the piano.
Thorne feels that if he continues to trade consistently, he could be at his dream car in just a few years.
And honestly, with this summer coming up, I feel like I could be a little bit more active and reach out to a lot more people. But it's nice to see what's out there.
If any students have items they'd be interested in trading, Thorne says to reach out to him on Instagram. From Chapel Hill, Mary Kate Aponitis, Carolina Week.
So Josh, what has been the best trade you've ever made in your life?
I got it figured out. I can set the scene. I'm at my lunch table in 3rd grade. I don't want my mom packed me with some carrots, celery, wheat thins. So I look at my buddy Chase and I convince him that I can trade him these snacks for an Uncrustable and a Kit Kat. It probably wasn't the healthiest trade, but by far the greatest trade I have ever made, hands down.
Very creative and definitely worth it. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week. Thanks for watching.